Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Energized Living Today. I'm Cindy Kabika, and it has been a long time since we have been together here. And wow, I have missed our soul gang so much. What we are going to talk about today are the difficult aspects of ourselves. Now, I would like you to be really honest here for just a moment. Are there aspects of yourself that you would rather keep hidden or even ignore altogether? Are you even aware that they are there? You know, you're not alone. They're all of us, every one of us. We have impulses, we have behaviors that we'd rather not own up to, that we'd rather not accept about ourselves. We'd rather hide from ourselves. And I think that's true for all of us. Am I right, gang?
Totally.
Am I right, Lorelei and Ferris?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, these are our shadows. They are things like envy and rage and being critical and judgmental and deceptive and controlling and greedy and prejudiced and selfish. These are all the things that we, of course, we don't want. We want to be kind and good and loving. But why would we have these things if they were no use to us? That is a very big question here. So you may be asking yourself, how do I engage with these shadows? How do I clear them? Well, you don't clear them. You actually, you integrate them. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit today, as well as why we are doing this right now. You know, the shadow side of us is mostly subconscious, though some of us become conscious of those things. And we try to hide them. We try to excuse them. Some of us embrace them, but with anger. And I'm going to be this way because I decided that that's the way I'm going to be. And when Ferris and I decided to send out one-word emails to everybody, it's amazing how many of you wrote back and said, "Is this about shadows?" So I loved it. Y'all are so smart. So that tells me that a lot of you have done shadow work before, that you know a little bit about what this is about. But what's happened here is Lorelei, Ferris, and I are going to take the shadow work to a whole new level. And how did this come about? First of all, I have been working on a book, and a lot of you know that I have been working on a book. And in that book, I've received one download after another. It's absolutely been so amazing, the insight that I've been given. And SoulShadows is one of those insights that I received. And that's what we're going to really be focusing on. What else have I been doing? Well, planning a wedding for my granddaughter, Sarah, and Lorelei and I have been working on putting this program together for you. So the first thing that I want to start off with is, the shadow and the shadow aspects that each of us have. Where does this come from? You know, a lot of us know this information, right? Some of us have been studying, Jungian psychology for a long time. And the shadow is the id, the shadow aspects or archetypes. Carolyn Mace referred to them as archetypes. And, this is part of our unconscious mind, the aspects of our personalities that, once again, that our conscious ego really doesn't want to identify as part of ourselves. We don't want to know that that is part of me. And we have all run into this where we just say, I don't accept that about myself. But in order to really do the shadow work, you have to accept those sides of you. This is the dark side, what we call the dark side. Many of us became very familiar with it in 1998 when Debbie Ford introduced us to shadow work with her book, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, one of my favorite books. But since then, there has been a lot of expansion in our understanding about our shadow. Wouldn't you agree?
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So while most of us would prefer to keep a lid on our id,
a lid on our head. You can, that's the right
keep a lid. A lid on our
A
id.
lid on our id.
Yep. We want to keep those shadows hidden. It seems like many people today are showing their shadows. They're bringing them out into the light. And why is that? We're seeing a lot of behaviors that we never used to see that people would keep hidden. And there is a reason for that too. And we're going to be talking about timing now. And Lorelei is going to be telling us more in just a moment about the current timing. But the after 11-11-11, a lot of things changed. We went from the Piscean age to the Aquarian age. And the difference between the two is identity and existence. That's Pisceans. And it would be to be or not to be. That is the question. Mm-hmm. To the Aquarian, which is accepting the whole person. In other words, be to be. So you're going to be with yourself in order to be. And that's why we're seeing all of these behaviors start to manifest in people that we never used to see, that people used to keep hidden, that we used to keep hidden. The goal here and in this time is to accept ourselves as a whole and to integrate whatever those soul shadows or those shadows are into who we be, so that we can present the wholeness of who we are to the world. And Lorelei, I would like you to go ahead and tell us the cosmic weather and why we chose this time of the year. Mm-hmm. A lot of people would say, do it in the dark of the year. No, we wanted to do it in the light of the moon, where in the light of the moon, the shadows are much brighter. Much bigger.
And I want to, before I talk about the timing, I just want to say, to answer what you just said, like why is this now? Why are people sort of allowing that out and being willing to be aware of it, look at it, embrace it, transform it, is because there are enough of us on the planet that are feeling that need to show up. It's like, to me, one of the messages from A Star Is Born, the new movie, is if you have something to say it. And that's what's happening for all of us. Well, in order to do that, we have to go get parts of ourselves that we forgot about, or we never knew, or we shamed, or we blamed, or we've projected, commonly called dark side or shadow. So from a zeitgeist perspective, the spirit of the times, that's what's going on. People are more willing and having the courage, because in order to stand in who we are and to be true to who we are, we have to know who we are. And if we only know I'm loving and kind and warm and gentle and inspiring, but what about the part of me that's angry and controlling and manipulative, or whatever it is for
right. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to say that, which is why I'm so excited that we're talking about this. I'm also so excited we're talking about it, and that's why I wore silver for the eclipse, for the lunar energy, is because we're in this full moon in Leo, which means there is an opportunity, because it's an eclipse, to let something go that has kept us from the true expression of our heart, of the child, of that part of us that believes in ourselves and has that purity in the confidence and courage just to be who we are. We all get to return to that now. So to be talking about aspects of ourselves that we're not aware of or not as conscious of under a full moon is so perfect, because a full moon illuminates everything. It shines a brighter light. Now, all the planets are moving forward until March 5th, and they have been since January, since the beginning of this month. Well, that means if you don't even need to know anything about astrology to kind of get, all the planets moving forward, that must mean we could move things along, There's more of a tailwind now, especially if you're committed to whatever you're committed to in your life. It's like going, okay, this is what I want, and I'm willing to show up in this way, to be committed to this. So for us to be doing this, for all of us now, under this bright light, at a time when we could see things more clearly that we haven't seen before, haven't been willing to look at, so that they can be, to use the word you used, Cindy, integrated. And I would say aligned, because the beauty of any kind of work, of anything that has to do with personality, is the chart very quickly identifies shadow qualities, or where one might have stuffed something in a closet and only experienced the quote, the nice side of whatever that energy is. Because it's all about balance. And that's what we can all do now under a full moon, is find a balance between shining our light as a child. I'm here to shine my light, to show up for the collective, to be in service to others, Sun in Aquarius. So let's see, all the planets direct, and so with all the planets direct, and Mars, the planet that drives us, New Year's Eve, Mars went into Aries. This will be till Valentine's Day. Mars started a brand new 2-year cycle. Whether you have Aries energy or not, that's great, but this is for everybody, which means having the courage to stand for self and to be true to self. Well, again, if we're going to be true to self, we have to know who self is. So I think that's good for now, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Ferris, anything that you want to add to this? And let me ask you just very quickly, for Ferris right now, since he's right here on the cusp, he's Aries. What do we
Aquarius.
see? Yeah. Yes.
He's Aquarius.
Yeah. All those A ones are a lot.
Well, what did I say?
Aries.
Oh, I meant Aquarius. Sorry about that.
Well, your birthday is your new year. So to have a birthday today, let's face it, every year that we have a birthday is fortuitous because we're still here, right? At least on this side. But today, this is a really the potential for a high energy day, meaning Venus, which is what we love, what we value, what we appreciate, and Jupiter, what gives us meaning and purpose, are dancing. So these two, what we used to call benefics, the good guys, they're all good guys, but Venus and Jupiter. So the optimism. So for you, Ferris, specifically, since you start your new year under this energy, we're all in it, it's an imprint. So this could lighten your load. This could allow in a greater optimism and enthusiasm and belief. Again, a confidence and belief in self. Again, we can all be here, but the fact that you're beginning your new year under this energy, I think is really fortuitous. And a full moon. And a full moon at the same time, which suggests that the whole next year, potentially, you could live under the light of the full moon, meaning, more in the public eye. That's one thing, just, again, more visible because, again, a full moon birthday, your new year's beginning under this bright light, which takes you through your whole next year.
Sorry, cool. Ferris, no more hiding out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to keep my shoes polished.
It's one of the things Ferris likes to do, is to hide out a little bit. But
well, and he comes by that honestly too. But if anything, this is for all of us, with the fact that the full moon is the sun in Aquarius and moon in Leo. But for you, Ferris, specifically, it's to reignite your unique light of being authentic, of being brilliant, of being ingenious, of being innovative, inventive. That's not all of you. That's your core, because you have a lot of Capricorn energy. But the point is, that's, that the genius. So it's an opportunity to unleash more of that.
Oh, well, what did I say before, Ferris? Oh my gosh, when we talked about this,
what'd you say?
That hiding
exactly
out, that hiding out is also one of my shadows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep. If anybody else has a birthday, we'd sure love to know it. Happy birthday to you. If you're listening to later, happy birthday. So,
if you're listening to this next year, happy birthday.
Yes. One happens every year. So Lorelei, what is affecting us right now, of course, the bright of the supermoon that's going on right now, the solar eclipse energy.
Yeah. Eclipses are always an opportunity to make major changes. So eclipse times, and nobody be afraid of those when you hear people talk about eclipses and kings would die and all that stuff. That was when things were really faded. It means that a light goes out so that a new light can be lit. So something old, anything that's old, that's kept you armored or blocked from expressing the heart, from being that, the child, the 5-year-old, the 4-year-old, whatever it is, when there was still innocence, that wonder and delight and just innocence of the child. It's like the planet needs that from all of us. So in order to be able to do that, whatever's in the way obviously needs to be let go of. And that's where we come down to what we're talking about in terms of shadow and soul shadow.
Well, has anybody written in their shadows? Can you see that, Ferris?
Yep. Anne said, and hi, Anne, playing small and not letting my light be seen.
Totally. It's so funny, Cindy. Ever since we decided to do this, and especially the last few days, it's like as things have come up, it's like I have new eyes. I have new eyes of looking at things. And that's what this is about, a full moon lunar eclipse. And now that I'm thinking about it, I have new eyes to look at old patterns, and there's so much, even before when I couldn't get back on and I went, oh my God, there's that fear thing that I do when I'm afraid. I project it onto the technology, and it happened to be Ferris's speakers that weren't working. They weren't even mine. Is that projected shadow?
I really hated that.
I'm going in my internal thing. Oh my God, here Ferris and I are again, and he's always been so patient with me, and I'm back to square one. I can't get on the blah, blah. And it turned out to be his speakers.
Which I love.
Well,
okay, any others, Ferris?
Yes, and I apologize for this. Darling, I have mispronounced your name for years, and I'm going to probably do it again. Marjike from South Africa. I love this lady. She said, fear and fear of my anger when it surfaces.
Yeah.
Fear and fear of anger.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. And anger is a fear.
Mm-hmm.
Fear is really the key emotion to anything, the foundation emotion to anything that we experience. Anger is a reaction.
Totally.
Yeah. It's a reaction. So we'll talk about that a little bit here. But Lorelei, you said that you had some questions for me?
Yeah. So what I found, number one, we've defined shadow. What's the difference between shadow and soul shadow? The aspects of both of those.
Yes. I'm so glad that you asked.
This is a term that you've coined, basically.
Yes. And I am aware because my grandson told me yesterday, and now I've been writing about this for quite some time. I had no idea there was a video game named SoulShadow. So you don't have to write in to tell me. He told me yesterday. I had no idea, but it's a video game. But the Soul Shadow aspect was one of the downloads I received while I was writing my book. And I write quite extensively about shadows and integrating shadows in the book that I'm writing. And then I was told about the soul shadows and the difference between the two. This is our shadows can come from all kinds of things that happen to us as a child. We can be born with these things, but our life experiences can create these shadows within our lives. And we each come here to experience certain things, to learn something that helps our soul's growth. That's our soul contract. A soul shadow directly relates to our soul contract. They are shadows that we are given to help us fulfill that contract. Now, it may not be the anger that helps, and I can't remember who it was that said that, but the anger, but it may be the fear that is your soul shadow that you need to work on. You came here to overcome fear of maybe a lot of different things. So, as many of you are aware of, when you have a soul contract, this is, if you've come to this earth to learn about forgiveness, well, then one of the things that you have to have is the ability to forgive. But you don't just instantly reach the point of forgiveness. there's all kinds of emotions: fear, anger, frustration, hatred, resentment, judgment. All of these things get in the way before you can actually get to forgiveness. But to get to that, if that's part of your soul contract, to get there, there are shadows in the way that can keep you apart from what it is that you wanted to achieve. So in order to get there, you have what these soul shadows are, primary shadows that are here to assist you. And what happens, and this is the coolest thing, everyone and Lorelei, is when we understand them, it helps us achieve our life's purpose.
Totally.
The reason that we are here in the first place. That's how far it takes us. Mm-hmm. All shadows are not soul shadows. The key shadows that are to help you fulfill your soul contract, those are the soul shadows. Now, we've experienced them recently, haven't we? We were talking about some of the stories within our own life that we've experienced recently, and that really brought up some of our shadows and some of the shadows that we need to work on. And Lorelei, you want to go ahead and start with your story? I don't know how much you want to share, but
which story is this?
Okay, what you and John are going through right now as you are.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, to make a long story short, we love this rental ranch house that we live in. Many of you have seen the backyard from my Miracle Minutes. There's this beautiful cow pasture in this very modest neighborhood, but it's really cool. And I have my playground for the soul circles here. So our wonderful landlady has had to put her husband in a facility, which we knew was coming. And so the house is up for sale. Now, you might say, and we would love to buy it. Now, the reality is we may not be in a position to buy it. So what's coming up for me is, and I'm getting an opportunity to look at the reality and everything in the face and go, oh, okay, can I love this about me? Or am I going to judge this? Am I going to judge where I am or what this outer authority is saying? You qualify for this or you don't qualify for that. I mean, thank God I know what I know to some degree, because there's no question that a lot of folks could be feeling, how do I want to say, a brush with reality in your life in some area where you're looking right at reality going, well, if I can own this, if I can take responsibility for it, then I can change it. So John and I have, we have affirmations around it that we're loving and kind and gentle with each other as we move through this process of every single fear coming up, because we mirror a lot of the same where we are in our life. We love each other, we love being together, but what's coming up is this stuff that's real shadow stuff. In other words, like, did I misuse funds? Should I have done this with my money? Should I have done that? And really being willing to be with it, knowing there's power in that. Even just, thank you for asking me, Cindy, because even just sharing that and exposing and revealing, those are shadow, that's what we want to do with a shadow. We want to expose and reveal it because there's gold there, or the magic that we talk about. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so every single thing I could be afraid of in my human construct is coming up for me to choose, how do I want to be with that? And will I be conscious of it and deliberately intend to transform it into something that empowers me rather than feeling disempowered?
And that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. And Ferris, you also were talking about one of your shadows, which I absolutely think is one of your soul shadows. And you want to go ahead and share?
Yeah. Being less than worthy, the feeling of being unworthy. And yeah, I think I'm pretty sure that's a soul shadow. Mm-hmm. So many other things
come from that. Other shadows come from that.
Yeah.
That one casts a pretty big shadow, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been working with you now we've been working together, business partners for 26 years, been working together for 28 years. And
bless your heart.
and it's been amazing to me to know that about you, to come to know that about you, because you are one of the smartest, funniest, brightest men that I've ever met. And your insight, your ability to do things, this man can fix anything. He, anytime we have anything go wrong in the house, we call Ferris, because if he doesn't know how to fix it, he will be able to find a way to do it soon. Very quickly, and he does a beautiful job. Same way with technology, same way with producing the show. He's incredible. As a photographer, same thing. Where he gets into trouble is that lack of self-worth. Mm-hmm. Thinking, I can't do this. Why should I be able to do this? And he starts second guessing himself, which is when things start to happen. How many of us do that? Is that right, Ferris?
Yeah, that's definitely right. And I think that one's probably pretty common.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and it's very interesting that we're doing this from the vulnerability perspective, because vulnerability is such a strength, and
yep.
Right? I mean, that's where we connect, is in our vulnerability. Mm-hmm. Well, the reason I'm saying that from a cosmic perspective is that the North Node, the collective soul invitation for the next 15 months or so still, is Cancer. Well, Cancer is that. Cancer is being able to be vulnerable with self, and we're certainly modeling that with each other and all of you as well. I mean, in other words, that being undefended. In other words, it always reminds me of the line from A Course in Miracles that says, "In my defenselessness, my safety lies." My safety lies in being undefended, and that's the gift of vulnerability, which I'm just experiencing as we're doing this. And I just wanted to call it out, because I think it's it's beautiful.
Now, I agree, and for me, there's something under it, and I'm still working on this, but it's my anger outbursts, where I just lose my temper. And it started when I was little, and I don't know if this is, from childhood things that happen, or I don't know where it came from, but I recognized it early when I was a mother, early. And that's why I started running, because I'm like, I got to find a way to blow off some steam. So I started working out, and that led to me becoming an aerobic instructor and a trainer, a fitness trainer. So it was something that led me to something really great, grand, and wonderful in my life, which I've used and continue to use. Mm-hmm. It's what part of my education is in. So it led me to something beautiful. And as many of you know, I recently, a few months ago, got 2 puppies. One is Trooper. And Trooper, oh man, I love that dog. He's like perfection to me. He is just such a beautiful little soul. And then I have Gidget, and she's a little Pomeranian, 5 pounds. Well, Trooper started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. and he didn't weigh that much, about 45 pounds. But I was training him to be a therapy dog. And I got him to the point where, as far as I could go with him. And yet things kept happening where I ended up hurt with him, because he's strong. He's 100% guard dog. He is a boxer, Dalmatian, American Bulldog mix, and he's super powerful, strong. And he hurt my aunt's shoulder. He dislocated my shoulder 3 times, not meaning to, just he's playful. He's a puppy. He ran into both of my knees, one that's pretty swollen still, having an issue with, and then he ran into Gary's. And the last time that it happened, I actually hit his dog poo, did the splits, went down the hill, hurt my hip, twisted my knee, and then he came running back and got both my knees. So I decided, I got him as far as I could. That's it. And for a minute there, I lost it. I was angry. I was in pain. Anybody familiar with that? And that reaction that I was talking about earlier. And I stopped. I got to the bathroom, was, wiping myself, washing myself off and putting ice on my knees. And I stopped and said, I could have a stroke over this. Why am I getting mad at this almost perfect dog? This dog, it's obvious to me that this dog is not right for me and for our family. Why not give him to somebody that can fully appreciate him just as he is? And I said it out loud, and I refuse to allow myself to be angry at this perfectly beautiful soul. And so I wrote it down on a new moon wish, what I wanted for him, somebody that knew how to handle a big dog, who had children and who had a big yard. I don't have a big yard, so mine's a little postage stamp yard. and so that's what I wrote down. That night, a hospice nurse saw my dog and wanted him, because she's always wanted a therapy dog. He's already trained. She wants to continue the training. She has 2 teenage sons and a big yard. It happens that fast. That is the magic. When you look at that shadow, I stared at that shadow right in its face and said, okay, what I want to do is turn this around into an opportunity. And that's exactly what happened. And a miracle happened. I mean, just that night, it was amazing. That happened like 2 p.m. And at 10 o'clock at night, she came and she met him and said, he's my dog. He's my dog. And, I still was having a hard time letting go. And she said, but I'm going to have to change his name. And I said, change his name? She said, but not a lot. I just want to change his name from Trooper to Cooper. And I started laughing out loud. And that was a confirmation, because that's the name that my husband wanted. And I laughed and said, this is as it is to be. And we said this earlier, when we were talking, Lorelei, is that there is magic in our soul shadows.
Totally.
If we stare them in the face and say, I know that I have this angry outburst, but this is what I'm going to do with it. This dog doesn't deserve this. This is my thing. I'm going to be working on this. Here's the truth of the matter, and really get real with yourself. And I said it out loud. I want to be love and light. I don't want to be living in anger. I don't want to be mad at this dog. He doesn't deserve that. And so, and it's something I have a hard time controlling in me. So instead, I chose love. And I knew that I did the right thing. And everything transpired as it needed to. And this woman, she can't believe how well trained he is. She knows how to handle him. And her sons are in hog heaven with this little boy. So it was just, and I still get to see him.
And you acknowledged your issue.
Yes. I didn't hide it from myself. I knew. Yeah. And that's a key, is we can't heal something that we don't bring out into the light. It can't help us. It can't move us forward if we don't bring these things out into the light. And that knee-jerk reaction is definitely one of my soul shadows. And so that's something that I will continue to work on. Yeah, I think, how many of us have that? I would love to know. And I want to go ahead, Ferris, if you'll go ahead and read some of the other people's shadows that they've written in.
Lorelei had to drop out again. She must have lost her microphone.
Okay.
Lorelei has a habit of losing her microphone for some reason, and we have just...
Maybe it's a shadow.
It must be her shadow. She's got a mic shadow. Beth wants to know if there can be conflict issues between soul shadows. She's talking about I think she said a nephew and her nephew and his dad have conflict issues. I would think that's more of a soul contract issue.
I would too. That's exactly what that is. And they have shadows. They're their own shadows that they bring to the table to help fulfill that soul contract.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Those are soul shadows that they may each have different ones. So that's, that's definitely a soul contract. Now, one of the questions that I had been asked is, can you acknowledge somebody else's soul shadow? And the answer is you can't fix someone else's soul shadow or shadows. You can't do the work for them. They have to do their own work. They have to come to it. Just because one person acknowledges it and is willing to work on and fulfill that soul contract doesn't mean the other person will do the same, because we each have free will.
And you can recognize it.
Yeah.
And of course, if you recognize it, that means you've got it too.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
we really get to see that under a full moon, what you just said, at that 3.5 days of a full moon, and we're still in it till like 5 a.m. Eastern time on Thursday morning. That whole concept is like intensified, exacerbated. It's like, oh my God. So I'm so glad you said that, because I just wanted to mention that. Yeah. So for the next couple of days, especially, you can all be at least aware that people might tend to be more overreactive than usual.
Yeah, and I should also say that just because you've got it too, that doesn't make it necessarily a problem for you.
Right.
It's just that those things are within all of us.
That's absolutely true.
Shadows are big and small. Our biggest shadows tend to come out during this time. Here's something that I thought was really interesting that I did not know when I was talking to the vets, and they were, I told them, I was giving them the information about Trooper and also letting them know that one of my kitties passed yesterday. And they said during a full moon, a super moon like this, a lot of animals choose to transition.
I'm sure.
Really?
They see it a lot. And I thought that was really interesting to during this full moon and this shadow, for them to go, back into the shadow, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
As they're transitioning.
Yeah.
That was kind of an interesting.
Or back into the light.
Yeah. Well, they'll they kind of go through that transition process, and then they come out on the rainbow bridge into the light. Yeah. So, yeah, I thought that was really kind of interesting.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh. This is great. Jad asked, and I don't know if Jad is the name or initials, but either way is good.
Oh, I think that's Julia. I think that's a person I know. I think her name is Julia. That's her email address. Anyway.
And, no, this is in YouTube. Question: is it possible to have had such a rough decade that I feel I have no fear anymore? I feel as though my shadow is my friend now.
I love that. That's exactly part of the magic, is what she's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very powerful.
And I would like to know if you know what your soul shadow is, because identifying that, not all of our shadows are soul shadows. They help move us forward, but everything moves us towards that 1, 2, or 3. I keep getting Trinity, that we have, it's a 3, that we have 3 primary soul shadows that move us towards completing our soul contracts, which leads us, whatever that is, to our work that we are here to do, our purpose. My purpose in having this anger, this explosive behavior sometimes in my life, was to learn learn about the human body and why these things happen. And that interest fascinates the heck out of me, brought me to what I'm doing today, right here on Energized Living Today. That's how we got the name. That's energy. That explosiveness is energy. So what do I do with this energy? It moved me forward in my life and helped me to my life purpose. Do you know what that is? Mm-hmm. I would like to know, and let us know if she replies, Ferris. Okay.
I mean, these are wonderful questions to be asking ourselves now in this energy that we're in, because, you know, again, here's an opportunity by integration, by this conscious integration, to be more empowered than we've ever felt in life, essentially, at a time when the planet needs all of us more than ever.
Mm-hmm. And other questions, Ferris?
I'm looking.
Or comments? Okay. All right. Ferris is getting back to them. And any other questions from you, Lorelei?
Yeah. So
when you were gone, I talked about you can't change someone else. You can only change what you do.
Right. Yeah, no, I heard the tail end of that, and I'm glad to hear that, of course, because boy, isn't it easy to focus on what somebody else needs to do, right? The very thing that we think that other person needs to do is often what we are not managing in ourselves.
And doesn't that suck?
It does.
It really
but
does. And anytime, you know, and this is something in this Aquarian age right now, in people, shadows coming out everywhere, people's prejudice, people's anger, their you know, everything, judgments, and we're seeing it all over the place. And many times when we see that on other people and we focus on their shadows, what we are not doing is looking at our own life. We don't want to take a look at our own life. There's, you know, that's hard. That's hard. That is a lot of work to do. And that's, it's a way of negating our responsibility to self.
I mean, it's so much easier to look over there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So much easier.
But you're not doing your own work, folks. If you're out here complaining about everything out here, you're not doing your own work. You've got to, you know, you've got to go within. Yeah.
I can look over there a lot easier than I can look down here.
Totally. So using a word that we use a lot, since this is our full moon, just so all of you know, every relationship you have with anyone has its own chart. It's the midpoint of both charts. And so Cindy and I together, she's a Libra moon, I'm a Taurus moon. Our moon together is Leo, which is where we are right now. So using a word that you and I use a lot, how can we dance with our soul shadow?
How we can dance is by, it's truly a step-by-step process of going from one shadow to another and see the ones that point, that lead us, that it's like back leading us, so to speak, to our soul shadow that leads to the soul contract, the reason we are here in the first place. So as we dance, this is a step-by-step process.
We do a dance, we step by step, right?
Yep, it's step by step. And you can't do it any other way. You can't just say, oh, it's that. Because you might be surprised along the way of what you uncover. It's pretty remarkable. And that's the reason that we put this program together. Lorelei Ferris and I have actually created a program called Dancing with Your Soul Shadows. And
we've got some little cutouts of feet that you put on the floor and step on them.
And you can put your own words down there. That actually
new version of Twister.
That might be something we have to consider. But this is a program that we've put together that is 6 weeks. It is a 6-week workshop so that we can help you identify what your shadows are, how to integrate those shadows, and which shadows guide you to your soul shadows. That's part of your soul contract that leads you to your life purpose. That's what we are doing. And so during these classes, we're going to start off with the shadow and how to integrate. And then we will keep building on that each week. Every week, we're going to be doing a meditation with you. Ferris and I actually recorded, and this was so interesting. We did shadow meditations, dancing with your shadow meditations, dancing with your story, but it's the story contains all those shadows. So we're going to be doing those meditations each week for the next 6 weeks, as well as taking you on a step-by-step journey. So, and what's
amazing about it, timing-wise, is that we start next Tuesday, right? The 29th,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
correct? And
Yes.
we go until March 5th. So the time that the planets are still all moving direct, because Mercury retrogrades on the 5th of March. So we're doing this with this energy of a tailspin, of this cooperative energy from the universe in terms of anything that we want to move forward. So the things that I believe will happen for all of us included on the other side of this, by what we encounter, embrace, transmute, etc., is going to be absolutely mind-boggling, just given the fact of when we're beginning this and actually when it ends.
And Ferris just put a link to the page. And if you want to get there, it's energizedlivingtoday.com/SoulShadows. And Energized Living Today, energized with a D, livingtoday.com/SoulShadows. And join us. It's $249. This is a program. It's all live. We are going to be working with you one-on-one. What we ask from you is that when you register, you're going to be getting an email. And in that email, you will be getting a couple of email addresses. For Lorelei, send her all your birth information. Now, she's not going to be doing full charts on everybody, but she will be using it as we're moving through each of the, through the shadows when we're working with you. So please send her all your birth information. And she's going to be talking about what's going on for you currently and
why these aspects, why these particular aspects may be presenting themselves now. That's going to be fascinating for all of us.
Yes, yes. And we're going to be talking about the archetypes too. Mm-hmm. Victim, and the victim archetype.
It's even cheaper than you said. It's $247.
Right. What did I say?
$249.
Oh, okay. It's $247.
See, prosperity already.
That's Ferris's side.
That's his birthday gift to everyone.
Yes, yes.
Uh-huh.
So it's $247. And Ferris, can they also stretch that out?
Yep. We've got it set up so you can do two monthly payments if you.
Okay. All right. Great. So we want it to be really affordable for everyone, and each step that you take, and even before we start, what we would really like you to do is, what is it that's, just start. I love to do free writing, where you just start writing words. Every word that, just like we sent out in the email, word after word after word, whatever comes to mind, write down every single word that you can think of, and don't overthink it. Just start writing.
Yeah, don't edit yourself.
Don't edit yourself. And if you can't think, just scribble until something else comes, and then start writing the words, phrases, whatever's coming up for you. And if you have not identified your soul purpose for being here on this earth, if you don't know what those contracts are, or if you don't know why you're not able to move through those contracts, then this is the program for you, because it's going to help you identify those soul shadows that they may be standing in your way, or they can be the biggest magic of your life, because there's magic in soul shadows. There's absolute magic. Just like my situation with Trooper, it happened so fast.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you integrate them. Yep.
Totally.
It was miraculous. And every time the woman that her name's Melody, every time she texts me a new picture of her kissing and loving him, and him playing with the boys, and she's so ecstatic. Just fills my soul. I did my part for him.
Right.
I did my part in training him. It feels amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what we want for you.
And you were worried about him integrating into the family.
Right.
and it was amazing. I mean, it's not like you went out looking for somebody to take him.
Oh, I didn't.
It just happened.
It just happened.
Well, and that just happened is the magic and miracle of the universe that you just talked about. things just happen, whether it's a small thing like, oh my God, I can't believe so-and-so called me. I was thinking about them. I haven't seen them in ages. Or it's the looking for a house. Oh my God, we drove down that street and it was, you know, whatever it is. It's sort of like, who said, I remember Wayne Dyer quoting this, something about getting our bloated nothingness out of the way. Did you ever hear that?
Yeah.
I mean, in other words,
was that him?
I thought it was, but I mean, you could say, I mean, just moving your old definition of yourself, all of us, out of the way. And that's where this examination of shadow and soul shadow, I think when the whole one-word emails I told you both I thought were brilliant. And this whole soul shadow concept, I mean, I know for myself, I am so excited to be diving into this, you know, and let's face it, you all know this that are watching this, or all that we create for ourselves because we're all one and we're all teaching what we need to learn. So the reason this is cutting edge is because it's like we're doing this along with you as we companion you in the process. So that's, to me, what makes it so empowering.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, follow that link and sign up. We want to keep a nice tight-knit group, and so sign up quickly. You know, our seating will be limited, but we would love to have you join us on this journey. It's super incredible. And another thing that I want to go back to Trooper for just a moment. The biggest thing for me in all of this, you know, I've been spending months training this dog as a therapy dog, to find out that this woman is a hospice nurse.
Yeah, really.
She has two sons. She has a big yard. She only loves big dogs. Just that. I'm blown away. I'm blown away by it. And her last dog, and I mean, when she met him, she cried and she said, my last dog wouldn't do therapy work. He didn't like other people. He was our family dog, period. And I have always wanted to do this. I have always wanted to do this. And she just thanks us all the time.
And she probably thinks, my God, magic. She came
on her side, it was magic too.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh my God, I've always wanted to do this, and here he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So magic all the way around. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I want each of you to experience that. And I still am doing therapy dog work and cat work. I've got a therapy cat and therapy dog. And actually it's much easier now with just Gidget and Gracie and taking them to the nursing home. So I will run into her at these places. Mm-hmm. You know, she's even sent me texts and asked me if I could bring them to some of the places as well. So it's this whole connection that is just super magical. Mm-hmm. And I love it. I'm filled with such joy. It's incredible. Mm. And again, I want you to feel that too. This is part of my purpose for being here. You know, one of my soul purposes. Always my sole purpose is to be of service to others, always. And that's true for Lorelei. It's true for Ferris.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what's your purpose? Do you know what that is? Is there something standing in the way? That's what we're here to help you determine through your soul shadows. You know, that's hard for me to say sometimes.
Soul shadow?
Soul shadows.
Oh.
Yeah. To get that out. Especially if you have a partial. It's hard to do.
Well, it really gives a whole new meaning. It's a whole transformation of the shadow concept. I mean, it's sort of taking it to the next place. Yes. And that's what excites me.
Well, that's what excites me too. It's up-leveling all this work, because I did it back in the 90s when Debbie Ford, I bought her book right away, Dark Side of the
Light Chasers.
The Light Chasers. And I bought her book right away. I went through that. I studied it. I went and worked with her in person. I mean, she was amazing. And for this to come out of the work, oh my gosh, that that's amazing to me that it's now going to the next level. And it made so much sense at first. When I first got the download, I'm going, what is this? I didn't get it. I didn't understand, but it wasn't me, it wasn't me trying to come up with this. It was just take it easy, take a deep breath, and just write. And I started writing, and it all just flowed out what it was. And I was, okay, here we go. And we want you to go on this journey with us. So mine is, Ferris, I'm seeing comments. What does it say here? Laura says, does the program help me uncover? I can only see part of it, Ferris.
Does the program help me uncover my purpose, or only what's standing in my way?
Well, what's standing in your way will help you understand your purpose.
Right.
It's part of the contract. It's, you don't just have a contract to this point and then there's nothing else. The next step is your purpose. And here's what's really fascinating to me and a confusion for a lot of people in your life's purpose. A lot of times we think we need to make money doing it.
Yeah, and not necessarily.
It's not necessarily the case. You might have your job that your purpose in that job is to support yourself, is to, make money, pay the bills, and your purpose and passion, just like one of my passions, when I go to the nursing homes and I hand my kitty Gracie to one of the seniors and they start crying, they say, we get dogs in all the time, but not cats. You brought a cat, I'm a cat person. And I had a kitty, and they tell me their story. There's nothing more filling to my soul than to hear their stories and to see them embrace her in their memories, bringing back their memories. And even people that can barely speak, they are trying to speak and tell me their stories. I can't tell you how that just fills my soul. That's part of my purpose. I don't get paid to do that.
But it feeds every other aspect of your life.
It feeds me totally. It feeds me totally. And when I'm in butt camp, which is writing, when I'm writing, I'm in butt camp where I've got to stay seated and that's hard. Believe me, for somebody that's an athlete like I am, and I love moving, that is really hard. I need to be fed in some way, and that feeds me so that I can keep on going in all the other areas of our life. Yeah. So yes.
Totally. But it's
step by step. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm not sure we made this clear. The Dancing with Your Soul Shadows program is a live interactive video series.
Yes.
Done on Zoom, which is a fantastic format.
It is just like this. And for those of you who want to just call in, that's fine.
Yeah, you can just call in
and you don't have to be seen. But for those of you who want to be on video, we get to see you, which is so helpful for us. So, we get to have you right here in the classroom. We get to see everybody. We get to interact. It's live, and we will be working directly with you.
But you don't have to dress up.
No. You can be casual. In some of the classes that we do, people are laying in bed.
I was thinking of Devana.
Yep. They're laying in bed, and we've got people from around the world. So sometimes it's 2 a.m. and they'll say, I might not off here, but, grab your coffee. This is my formal set, for my calls here. But when I do the classes, I have another set that in another part of the house that's very casual and that's what we want. We want this to just be comfortable for you. Wear your jammies. It's okay.
Well, we're talking about, soul shadow dancing and being more empowered to be who we are. So we want to be comfortable in that process.
Right. So please join us. We would love for you to join us. We have our first class next week. And what is that date, Ferris?
Tuesday the 29th.
It's the 29th. Okay.
29th.
Okay. Yeah, the 29th. Did you put it right on the page?
It's on the page, yeah.
Yeah, okay. On the 29th, and it is at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, so that would be 4 o'clock Pacific time. And it's live. If you don't join us live, then you can write in anything. Like if you can't be with us every single time, then you just write in your questions and we will make sure that we answer them for you, and then you can watch it later. You get the downloads, the recordings of everything that we do, all the handouts and everything. So you'll get all of it.
I think we got it. Oh,
Okay.
Gene Logan. Hi, Gene.
Hi there.
And JAD is Julia.
Ah, cool. Hey, Julia.
Cool. Okay. Well, this has been exciting to introduce this to everyone, and to as we continue to work, we're going to all be getting more downloads. You too. You'll be getting your own downloads. Please share them with us, because we are in this journey together. And I just am excited for each and every one of you for joining us on this Dancing with Our Soul Shadows. And again, starts next Tuesday, and we'll go for 6 weeks. And the planets are going direct. I love this, that the wind is at our back. So it's going to be propelling us forward. We're going to be moving through this faster than normal. That's the setup for this.
That's exactly
I love that. That's so cool. So perfect timing for us. Let's bring those shadows out into the light. When we do, those things can be healed. They can be integrated. And then we can identify our soul shadows. And the rest is pure magic. I love it.
And you may even get a dog out of it.
Well, not from this household, but from someone else. Or
gives a whole new meaning to I could have danced all night.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Well, I thank you all for joining us. This has been spectacular to have you with us here. And I know that a lot of you are going to be listening to the replay. And please join us. We would love for you to join us. Any questions that you have, leave them. You can listen to this again on YouTube. It'll be up on YouTube. Go ahead and put your questions below or on the side, depending on your technology, where that chat is, and we'll be checking in with you, answering your questions as we can. And we look forward to you joining us on this spectacular journey, dancing with our soul shadows. So until next time, until we see you on Tuesday, I love you. We look forward to journeying with you. Any final thoughts for you two?
Just to be willing, open, and guided to shining your particular light. And that's what this is about, is to help us and you do that, to shine brighter by embracing and dancing with your soul shadow.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Ferris?
I send y'all light.
Beautiful. And I send you all love and light. Namaste.
Namaste.